Hello sports fans, welcome to Super Sports Central. Today, we're going over Week 7 college football rankings. So going over last week's rankings and what those teams did in Week 6, last week at number 10 I had Notre Dame. They were upset by Louisville, losing 33-20. 9 was Oregon, they were on a bye. 8 was Washington, they were also on a bye. And 7 was Penn State, they also did not play. 6 was USC, they escaped with a 43-41 win over Arizona in triple overtime. 5 was Ohio State, they beat Maryland 37-17. 4 was Texas, they lost to Oklahoma 34-30. 3 was Florida State, they easily beat Virginia Tech 39-17. 2 was Michigan, they demolished Minnesota, winning 52-10. And 1 was Georgia, they dominated Kentucky, winning 51-13. So this week's rankings, coming in at number 10, I've got Texas. So they dropped down to number 10 after they lost to Oklahoma in the Red River Showdown by a score of 34-30. They did not play a great game. Their defense couldn't get a key stop late to seal the win when they were up by 3. And their offense also turned the ball over 3 times, including 2 picks from Quinn Ewers. Now, the loss for Texas leaves them with essentially no margin for error during the rest of the season when looking at the college football playoff. But Texas is still a very good team. I think they're easily the best one-loss team in the country, and they fell from 4-10 after the loss. Coming in at number 9, I've got USC. So I had them at 5 after back-to-back wins that were way too close. I'm going to drop them to number 9. USC got the 43-41 win over Arizona in triple overtime after Caleb Williams ran in for a 2-point conversion, which ended up being the winner. But USC's defense is terrible and a big reason why they're falling in my rankings. They gave up 41 points back-to-back games and over 500 yards of offense to Arizona this past week. Now, Arizona's got a good offense, but the USC defense should not be this bad. Now, it's a good thing USC has the best player in the country in Caleb Williams because he had 4 touchdowns, 1 pass and 3 rushing, and he was a big reason why USC got the win. But USC desperately needs to figure things out defensively, and they check in at number 9. Coming in at number 8, we've got Oklahoma. So they jump into the top 10 following a win over Texas in the Red River rivalry. Oklahoma got the win 34-30. Quarterback Dylan Gabriel played a great game, throwing for 285 yards and a touchdown. He also ran for a career-high 113 yards and added another touchdown on the ground. Plus, Gabriel orchestrated an incredible game-winning drive as he led the Sooners on a 5-play, 75-yard drive in a little over a minute, which ended up being the game-winning score. Now, I don't want to jump Oklahoma up too much and overreact to one win because it was a very close win over a really good Texas team. But I think 8 is appropriate for Oklahoma, so they check in at number 8. Next week, they're on a bye. 7 is Oregon. They jump up 2 spots, which is a result of Texas and USC moving down. Up next for Oregon is a massive showdown against Washington. 6 is Washington. They also didn't play, but they move up 2 spots thanks to Texas and USC moving down. They host Oregon next week. And 5 is Penn State, so I think this is a little too high for Penn State, but they didn't play, so I can't move them down, and the only reason they move up is because 2 other teams are moving down. Next week, they face UMass before they face Ohio State the following week. Coming in at number 4, we've got Ohio State. So they move up 1 spot, which is just a direct result of Texas losing. Now, Ohio State beat Maryland by a score of 37-17, but they got off to an extremely slow start, trailing 10-0 in the second quarter. But Ohio State used a big second half to get the victory. Ohio State outscored Maryland 27-7 in the second half, and quarterback Kyle McCord was a big reason why, because the Buckeyes could not run the football, but McCord threw for a career-high 320 yards and 2 touchdowns. Plus, Marvin Harrison Jr. also had a fantastic game with 8 catches for 163 yards and a touchdown. And Ohio State, after the win and a Texas loss, they move up to number 4. Coming in at number 3, we've got Florida State. So they remain at number 3 after a win over Virginia Tech. They ran the ball extremely effectively. As a team, they ran for 282 yards and 3 touchdowns, but 200 yards and 2 touchdowns came from Trey Benson, who had 200 yards and just 11 carries, which is good for 18.2 yards per carry. But Florida State remains at 3 after a win over Virginia Tech. Next week, they face Syracuse. Number 2, we've got Michigan. So they beat Minnesota by a score of 52-10. Their offense was great, scoring 52 points, which was their highest total this season. They ran the ball very effectively, averaging 5.8 yards a carry and running for 4 touchdowns as a team. Plus, their defense was very good, allowing just 10 points and also helping the offense as they had 2 pick-sixes. And Michigan was dominant in the win, probably their best win of the season. They remain at number 2. Up next is a game where they face their rival, Michigan State. And coming in at number 1, it is Georgia. They finally got their dominant game that we've been waiting for. But who would have thought it would have come against the best opponent they've played to this point? Georgia dominated Kentucky, winning 51-13. They had been starting slowly in their previous games. Not this week. Jay jumped out to an early 14-0 lead and never looked back. Carson Beck had a great game, throwing for 389 yards and 4 touchdowns. Plus, Georgia's run game was very good with 173 rushing yards and 5.6 yards a carry. But Georgia finally gets their dominant win and solidifies their top spot for another week, and Georgia comes in at number 1. And my updated playoff predictions: 1, I've got Michigan At 13-0, they're the Big Ten champ. 2 is Florida State, 13-0 ACC champ. 3 is Georgia, 12-1 SEC champ. And 4 is Washington, 12-1 Pac-12 champ. So, I've been debating doing this for a couple weeks now. Michigan and Florida State are self-explanatory as they go undefeated and win their conference. Now, I think Georgia's going to drop a game, whether that is to Florida, Missouri, Tennessee, Ole Miss, someone else in the SEC championship game. It doesn't matter. But I think Georgia's going to lose a game at some point this season. Now, might not make sense after they're coming off their best win this season, but this has been something I've been considering for multiple weeks, and I just decided to go through with it this week. But I definitely think Georgia's going to drop a game at some point, but I still think they'll make the playoff. So they're at 3, and number 4 is Washington, because I previously had Washington or Notre Dame for that 4th slot. Now, Notre Dame is out of the playoff after suffering their second loss of the season, so the 4 is easily Washington. But those are my Week 7 college football rankings. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, turn notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible. Let me know in the comments if you agree with my rankings, disagree, and why. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, turn notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible, and I will see you in the next video.